Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the second half of our doubleheader, 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. We had Inside the Pigskin on earlier. Now we're talking baseball, and please be joined by my crew, George Eichhorn. Welcome back, George.
Oh, good to be here again, Scott. And we had a great football show, too, but this will be a great baseball show.
Sure will. And Warren Brewster, it's always a pleasure to have you on, my friend.
Thank you, Scott. I'm glad to be here. I know it's going to be an awesome show as always.
Well, we always look forward to your appearances, and
thank you.
You never have enough of them with your baseball knowledge and wisdom and so forth. And last but not least, Jordan Long.
Thank you for having me, Scott.
Well, everybody, let me give everybody an overview of the show. First of all, before I go any further, just want to let everybody know that 108 Stitches Baseball Talk is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Participate in the chat room. That's one way to do it. Or send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com, and we'll line you up with the show that best suits your topic idea. If you want to advertise constitutionally, call me 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. And our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. And our Twitter/X information is at Tribune South. And Candy Edling is behind the scenes, or linear. So with that said, we're going to have four topics that are going to be awfully strong. So it's not quantity, it's quality tonight. And typical baseball term, we're going to lead it off with this one. Which active players in the 200 club will get into the Baseball Hall of Fame? And I'll list the five, and then everybody can give me their take on it. And we'll start off with George Eichhorn. Justin Verlander, 255. Zackgreinke, 224. Max Scherzer, 214. Clayton-Kershaw, 209. Adam Wainwright, 200, George. You don't have to pick one. If you want to pick multiples, that's okay.
Okay, Scott. Well, of course, I had a chance to cover a lot of Justin Verlander in his career here as a Detroit Tiger. So without question, he's going to get in. With his World Series, with his Cy Young, he won the baseball Triple Crown one year, for pitchers, I mean, and just done a terrific job with multiple teams. JV is going to be a Hall of Famer, is a Hall of Famer, no question about that. Clayton Kershaw, when the World Series was held in Detroit, they flew Kershaw into town to get an award. And as you know, Scott, when we have credentials for the major leagues, we do get into the interview room. And he was just a great person. I was really, really taken to heart by some of the things he and his wife have done for charity. But it's not just that. He's had a great career. All five of those guys are going to get strong consideration, but my two would be Kershaw and Verlander right now.
What do you think, Warren?
I totally agree with George. Those two guys, I think, are locks for the Hall of Fame. The Clayton Kershaw, what he's done for the Dodgers. What have they won? 13 or 14 divisions out of the last 15 years. And he's been the ace of that staff the entire time. And Verlander was a dominating pitcher, still is. Has games where he throws 2 and 3 hit shutouts, so he's still a dominating player. The other three, it's sad to see Zackgreinke have the type of year he's had this year. It's 1 in 15. I saw that the other day and just shocked me. Wow. And to me, Scherzer's on the fence. He's got a little bit left in him. If he can have a couple more good years, he's definitely he'll be up in the wins column and be up there where Hall of Fame consideration and pretty good chance he'll get in. Adam Wainwright, again, has been the backbone of the Cardinals staff for the last 10, 12, 15 years. Had a big World Series his rookie year. But now he's had 200 wins, and now he's had a very tough year. It's sad to see the guys like Wainwright and Greinke go out on such sad notes.
Jordan?
Well, I definitely agree with George and Warren that Verlander and Kershaw are locks for the Hall of Fame. I mean, Greinke, if he had a better season or a better couple of seasons, I could see it. Same with Scherzer and Wainwright. I just think that Scherzer and Wainwright, to me, are on the fence. But otherwise, I think Verlander and Kershaw are definitely locks. But then again, the problem with the Hall of Fame is the great players don't get in. It's a hall of good. The question is will the voters want to put those guys in? But I definitely think Kershaw and Verlander are definitely locks to me anyway.
Verlander for sure, Kershaw, but who Kershaw will somewhat remind me of is Sandykaufax. He really is. When you talk about some of the great Dodgers that have gotten in, 200 wins for him. We all know that Sandy's career was derailed by injuries. Max Scherzer has had a really good career. There's a World Series in his pocket, without a doubt. But I still think, to me, I'm not ready to put him in right away. As for Greinke and Wainwright, I don't know. If they do it, if those two get in, it won't be until year number between 7 and 10, depending on what the pitching standard is later on down the line. So we'll go from there. Certainly, I always like to lead off shows these days with strong numbers because it encourages debate amongst a lot of people out there. And lately, I've been going to continue to do that. But this one here, Verlander and Kershaw locks. The other three, I'm with you guys on the fence.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, I want everybody to know nationally that here in South Florida, we're dealing with some weather conditions with lightning in the area. We'll do the best we can to make sure the production goes as smoothly as we can. We all know that at this time of the year, the rainy season is heavy, especially in September and October. So we hope you can stay with us. And so far, so good. We'll knock on wood. All right. So with that said, we'll stay in the state of Florida. And so a big development took place the other day in the Tampa Bay area. The Tampa Bay Rays will be staying in St. Pete. We're getting a new ballpark that's set to open in 2028. It'll cost about $1.2 billion. They're playing at least half of the bill, or probably a little bit more, near Tropicanafield. I know there's development as well. Now, I will lead off with this one because I've lived in that area. I've always been a firm believer that I thought the ballpark belonged in the Tampa, Hillsborough area, Hillsborough County, Tampa area. I also realize that there's possible difficulties getting land in Hillsborough County as well. So here's the only thing I could get myself to think about as a suitable compromise. You can only hope that development around that stadium, to me, gives you the equivalence to what St. Petersburg with the Twin Cities / Tampa Bay area, where another major area can support it there. Because I still think Tampa's always been the right place. But now, with my research and my contacts, they're saying there just wasn't any place to put it. And I thought many years ago they should have put it next to the old Tampa Stadium. But unfortunately, St. Petersburg built the Trop, and Tampa didn't want to spend the money for something they weren't going to get. And they said, you can have it. So it'll all be on the development side. I know I hear the stadium will be beautiful, and there'll be a lot of retail. And I know they're trying to refurbish the area, which at one point or another, I've been to that stadium before, and a lot of stadiums are in areas where, they're heavily secured, but you still want to be careful, if that makes any sense, where upgraded security is. Now, I understand things are a little different, but with this move here, I'm glad the Tampa St. Petersburg situation will finally be resolved, and that the next conversation we should focus on will be expansion, because I know MLB wants to do it, and they're trying to get the Tampa and Oakland situations resolved before they can take the next step. So I'm willing to give St. Petersburg another chance. Again, the stadium's only going to be 30,000 fans. Now, the one thing I hope it doesn't happen is that they build it in St. Petersburg, where really the population base is on the other side, Because here in Miami, the Marlins built their stadium on the Orange Bowl, but you have no development around that area, knowing that it's based in Little Havana where the Orange Bowl was. I just hope that there's not a repeat of that out in the Tampa Bay area. With that said, George, you know I've been vocal about it for a while. Go ahead.
You sure have, Scott, and I've respected your opinion over the years. As many years we've talked about this, you and I offline, and how important it was you felt for Tampa to be the host of that. Let me talk to you a little bit about the development. It's not a happy scene here in Detroit. When the Tigers decided to build Comerica Park downtown, the city of Detroit and the county of Wayne were promised a neighborhood, a new approach. Comerica Park was going to be surrounded by development. And then when the Little Caesars Arena was born, we heard it again. Oh yeah, we're going to develop this building, and that building, and we're going to have a little neighborhoods and bars and restaurants and all this stuff. Folks, it has yet to happen. Please, caution to the wind. Any city that's considering that, make sure you have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. The Ilitch family has caught a lot of crap here in Detroit for these promises that many feel were empty. Now, we're up to third time. For the third time, they've been given a chance, and this time they're buttering up to a gentleman, and I'm sorry, to another millionaire that not Dan Gilbert, that is going to help them launch a University of Michigan education center. All that being said, you must make sure, like you got, it's a lot of work because you got to get, you want tax abatements, you want this, you want that. And housing, you got to make sure you have equal housing for all levels, not just the rich. And that's another challenge that the Ilitches faced here. They did not have enough housing for, middle to upper lower. So that being said, like, I'm glad. Yeah, that's exciting to get a new stadium. But yeah, the follow through is always so important to make sure that, like you said, that the entertainment part, the retail part, hotels and living, if they have that too, that they follow through with it and that people stay on that to make it happen.
Okay, Warren.
Well, I'm sure glad to hear that. I've spent a lot of time in the Clearwater, St. Pete, Tampa area with the Phillies through the years, and I've seen how the growth there has been outrageous. That's really that whole area has really exploded, and it's nice to know that the Rays are going to get a new ballpark because it's just going to make them that much more competitive. They've been competitive on a purse string as it is, and that ballpark is horrendous. It's terrible, and I'm glad to see him get a new park. It's like Oakland's needed a new park for the last 35 years. And I'm glad to see something's being done. And they put the right people in the right places. And I'm sure the way the Rays are run, they'll get it done in the right way and be very competitive. And boy, look out in our American League East.
Well, think about it. Stuart Sternberg, to me, is a model owner of Major League Baseball. He's a guy that is a small market team. Now they're in the playoffs for the 5th year in a row.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You want to talk about, to me, a model organization, how to do it the right way.
Right.
The Rays may not be big spenders, but they spend their money wisely, and they do it through player development. So
yes.
Stuart Sternberg, to me, is what I consider the Einstein of Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a genius.
Yes.
But again, I'm willing to give St. Petersburg another chance as long as they have a good facility. And you have a good facility, you develop that area, there's no reason why St. Petersburg can't get it done. Right. I do believe it. But it became apparent Tampa had no place to put him anyways. And you're not going to Clearwater because that's resort.
No. Yeah.
So you either had St. Petersburg or you had Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I've always thought the area like Tampa Stadium or Raymond James is really the place for it. And they talked about it many years ago that they will put them adjacent, but none of that came to fruition. All right, Jordan, I know you've been patient. Go ahead, give me your thoughts on this.
Well, I agree with you, Scott, where I thought that they should have put the stadium by Raymond J. Stadium, but for the Tampa Bay Rays, I think this is great. They need a new stadium. Like Warren said, it's a horrible place to play. It's a small little stadium. But now that you're having these ideas, I just hope that they go through fruition. Like George said, just because you have the idea, you have to execute. And as long as they execute, they're going to have, a bunch of homes. They're going to have restaurants. I think they're just going to make it a place for entertainment besides baseball. And that's what they need there because, of course, that's what you want. That's what a lot of teams are doing now is they're adding, restaurants, they're adding hotels, they're having, housing for, just entertainment. I know the Rockies have done the same thing with Coors Field, and it's become like basically a place for people to watch games and it's entertainment. The Cubs have done that a little bit with what they've done. They have a place for fans to watch. So I just hope this actually goes through fruition. So that way the Rays have a great place to play and also get some money from all those restaurants for the Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg area.
Yeah.
Good point. I think the main thing is when I can compare Stuart Sternberg to Albert Einstein, that says a lot about the way the Rays organization is really run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what they've done there is just nothing short of remarkable. Trying to spend with little, and they're just amazing. I'm impressed with the way they give them a stadium where they got revenue coming in, and you never know. They might spend a little more money, but they got to figure it out the right way. Now it's just being able to add more income to it and proceed from there. So, any closing thoughts about this, Jordan, George, or Warren?
Well, I think you guys hit it. You nailed it right on the head there. They have been a model, like you said, for other teams, and yet so many other teams have not done it that way, including my Detroit Tigers. So we're looking at the Baltimore Orioles now. What a great masterpiece they've created this year as a ball club, and that's been years in the making. So, yeah, you're right, Scott. Tampa Bay, the Rays are at the top of the list for efficiency in how to run a major league franchise, except for the stadium portion of it.
Which is a matter of time. Listen, I'm happy that they're getting it figured out. But remember, when I found out that they've had a 16-year process to try to figure out where to put it. It's not like they made a decision to stay in St. Pete. They did open it up to Hillsborough County and Tampa. Ybor City was being kicked around as one of the sites, but it never came. I think parking had a lot to do with that and zoning. So we'll see. But as far as I'm concerned, Major League Baseball in the Tampa Bay area deserves long-term. And I hope that they're able to maintain it. It's a great listen. Whether I'm there from not University of South Florida graduate, I've always thought the Tampa Bay area fans were some of the best in the state, if not in the country. And I can tell you the way they show up in numbers, they really do. So, one of the best Southern sports towns in the country, and arguably one of the best in the country.
Right, it's a great baseball area. It's way back in the day in the 60s and 70s with spring training and all that. But now that the big league teams have moved into the areas, now it's a chance to see them all year round, not just in spring training. And it's good that Tampa's going to have a legitimate stadium because they are so competitive. I mean, that's definitely the toughest division in the American League. And they're competitive year in, year out, so it's good for them to have a stadium that their fans, their rabid fans, can get behind them and watch them.
Well, geez, when you think about all the players that came out of there,
right?
Fred McGriff, Lou Piniella,
right?
Wade Boggs, the list goes on and on.
Yeah,
Steve Garvey, Jordan Long's best friend, obviously coaching there in high school. I mean, right? So I know that area. I saw a lot of them play. I mean, as youth coming up, Dwight Gooden, I believe, was from there. Darryl Strawberry. The list goes on. I mean, you talk about Prospect Haven out in the Tampa Bay area. That area definitely is loaded for them. So now for this stadium to come full circle. Now we can eliminate that from any future conversations about them going to Montreal. The Expos, I'm sure a lot of people would love to see them back, but I didn't think that this team was going to go there in the first place. All right. two more things I want to get to. Shohei Ohtani will hit in 2024, but won't pitch until 2025 after elbow surgery. All right, George.
Well, I know we've talked about him before, and it's sad that it's come to an end right now. What a spectacular season. What a great addition to Major League Baseball. Such a dynamic figure. And obviously, a big loss for the Angels, as they're going to miss the playoffs again this year. But I'll tell you what, the kid is really loaded with talent. I was fearful of this happening, that when he's a pitcher and a hitter, and at such great success, both of them, that if they got hurt, what would really happen? And so now we see the fact that he's going to have to take the full year, it looks like, for the pitching to be able to get back in condition and successful surgery, first of all, and then be able to pitch again, like you said, Scott, in 2025. But if anybody can do it, it's him. The guy is talented. He's a great player. He's got a great attitude. And obviously, you'd want him to be there for both in 2024. But if it's going to be just the one, then with being the hitting and designated hitter or wherever, he'll do a great job with that too, I hope. So I think it'll work out, hopefully, in the long run for the kid.
What do you think, Warren?
Well, the positives, looking at it, is giving him time to get his arm back in shape after going through Tommy John surgery, and still being a big part of the game as far as being able to hit. And if anything, his hitting's probably going to improve when he can just concentrate on hitting. He doesn't have to think about pitching. So there's no time. I mean, the sky's the limit for 2024 as far as him as a hitter, and then just getting him back for 2025 and getting in shape to throw again. They can take their time with him, and he's still going to be a valuable addition to any club wherever he ends up. It's going to be a valuable addition. It's great for baseball. It's fun to see an individual be able to take on the responsibilities of hitting, pitching, and that he has in the past. It's just a matter of time where he gets back pitching again and be a even more dominant player.
I will say this before I turn over to Jordan. Remember last week we talked about how many guys would get the 100 RBI club? And we definitely thought that Ohtani would until this hiccup came along, right, Jordan? So the only way to keep him out of the 100 RBI club is sit him, and he's done for the year. So Jordan, pick it up from there.
Well, you look at Shohei Ohtani. I mean, we know what he can do pitching. Obviously, he's injured for that. He can hit. We know that. I mean, this is the second coming of Babe Ruth because he can hit and pitch. But honestly, I think he should focus on his hitting more than his pitching, because that's where he doesn't get hurt, is being a designated hitter. But like Warren said, focus on hitting, and then 2025, maybe you can pitch again. But the thing is, though, this is the reason why we don't see a player hit and pitch, because they can't handle it because of these injuries. But honestly, I think Shohei Ohtani, if he doesn't pitch again, he still has the hitting ability to drive that ball, so he'll be fine. But I'd like to see him healthy, to see him go from where he is now to possibly a Hall of Fame player.
Well, I think the biggest thing that can't be lost sight of here is at least the guy's going to be playing next year. Not like he's going to miss an entire year. All right, so he's not going to be hurling. So what? The guy can still swing a good stick, and he'll have time to recover during the offseason. The only question that we'll have, we'll address it later on in the year, is where he's going to wind up. I can say he's not going to be with the Angels, but I still believe he's going to be with the Dodgers. But we got to leave a little bit of something for later, right? So at least the guy can hit. Can't pitch next year, so what? It'll be better than ever. Is that what they always say out there in media, George? Those things better than ever, right?
That's right. That's right.
All right, one last thing we're going to address tonight. The Baltimore Orioles clinch the playoff spot. How far in the playoffs will they advance, George Eichhorn?
Hey, I'll tell you what, they're playing great baseball offensively and defensively. I really like, as I alluded to earlier, this has been a project in the making for several years. A resurgence of baseball in Baltimore is important. They're a really good baseball town. And you have to remember, guys, before the Washington was granted another franchise, you know, they were the only game in town in our nation's capital, albeit a long distance to travel, but still, we used to have the presidential opener, if you will. A lot of times was in Baltimore when Washington lost their team. That being said, the Orioles, oh my gosh, I mean, I go back to 1960s guys in the 70s and what rivals they were for my hometown Detroit Tigers. I mean, McNally and Palmer and Boog Powell and Elrod Hendricks and, you know, all these, Davey Johnson. I mean, these great players that Earl Weaver was the manager of. I mean, you know, Warren, they were a tough out, man.
Oh yeah.
Teams trying to beat Baltimore, man. I tell you what, the Tigers got so frustrated. You know, they lucked out. I shouldn't say we lucked out, but 1968 was the only year the Tigers could really better Baltimore, and that's when Detroit won it all. But boy, those Oriole teams, and you know, like I said, baseball. You know, Baltimore, St. Louis, Cincinnati, all good baseball towns. Mid-market, not the real high market, but hey, I'm happy for them, Scott. I think, you know, depends on what happens. Anything can happen in the postseason, as you know. Would I be surprised if they won it all? No. Do I expect it? Probably not. But hey, look, when all bets are off, man, when they start playing playoff baseball and they are a good team, hey, the sky's the limit. They possibly could go to all the way.
Anything, Warren?
Well, I think number one, starting off with, is it's amazing how they've turned that organization around in such a short period of time. You know, so the people that are running it know what they're doing. You know, and there's a young team, and if they don't know any better, then it's no telling how far they can go in the playoffs. You know, and they're the best team. They have the best record in the American League, and they have for the last 3 months. You know, they've been on fire, and it just, if they can keep that going, there's no telling. They could very easily win the World Series. I mean, they've got the talent there to do it. They've proven that during this season.
Jordan?
You look at Baltimore. This is their first time in the playoffs, I should say, since 2016. That's where they lost in the AL wild card. Back then, it was just a wild card game. As for how far they can go, I mean, the sky's the limit because you have a chance to win the World Series. But once you get into the playoffs, anybody can beat anybody. I'm just glad to see them turn this around, like Warren said, in such a short time. But the thing is, though, could I see them go to the World Series? Of course they could. But then again, another team can knock them off.
Yeah, I think the amazing part about the Orioles, Buck Showalter had some good years, and it's just a shame the way his tenure ended there as badly as it did. I've always thought that Buck Showalter is one of the most respected managers in Major League Baseball. He's won everywhere that he's been. He won in Baltimore. He's the guy that built the Arizona Diamondbacks from scratch. We all know that he did great work with the New York Yankees organization to build the core of that. I worked in the Yankees, covered the Yankees organization back in the 80s and saw the type of talent that he was grooming there. So Buck Showalter to me is undoubtedly one of the best managers that I've ever seen. He probably doesn't have a ring. With that said, you know what? I'll say this about the Baltimore Orioles. They're on house money. Mm-hmm. They really are on house money. Mm-hmm. They're playing in arguably the best division in baseball. When you talk about what that division can be like from top to bottom, you talk about the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Rays, and then them. Pretty steep. It's a good thing they're not playing 18 games a year, and if they limit it to 12 or 13, because who knows how much more dangerous that division could be. And I'm really happy with the way the new schedule is made, where you can see everybody anyhow. And Georgia, if you talk about if anybody been to the Beltway before, the distance between Baltimore and Washington, D.C. is I think like 40, 45 minutes away. not that long inside of an hour.
Yeah.
So,
No, you're right.
I was at old RFK Stadium to the Redskins play, and I went to Memorial Stadium. Of course, now I've been to the Ravens place, but never been to Camden Yards. So they're not that far away, and the Beltway can easily support two teams. And bear in mind, the Washington Nationals won a World Series title a few years ago, so it'd be amazing to see what the Orioles can do. But gotta give them their props. But we have a lot of baseball. But again, they're on house money, so I'm not going to say that they can, but I'm certainly not going to say that they can. So. With that said, this concludes 108 Sixes baseball talk. I want to give everybody an opportunity to go out there and let everyone know how they get over. We'll lead off with George.
Yeah, I've got a book out there called Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air, all about sports broadcasting history, including the great Ty Tyson and Ernie Harwell and all the great Tiger announcers we've had over the years. Scott has been part of the scene in Detroit for a long time. Scott's in there interviewing with Muhammad Ali and Jimmy Connors, two all-time greats, that's for sure. You can find a link to purchase the book at the end of my column. I write for the Motor City Tribune, which is under Scott and Candy's South Florida Tribune website. And you can also find me on Inside the Pigskin, along with this show, The Sports Exchange, and Pundit's Pundit, wherever Scott needs me. And also, if you want to reach out to me, I'd be happy to talk to you, or email me at gicorn@yahoo.com or on LinkedIn under my name. And also, I can be found on X, formerly Twitter, at SandGSports99. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Jordan.
You can follow me on Twitter at SportsScoop1. I have a blog that I write Monday through Fridays at sports-scoop.com. I also have a show called Under Review, which is my take on national sports as well as Colorado sports, and I will link that, or I will shout that out on Twitter or X when I will have a show. So be sure to watch out for it.
All right, Warren.
I can be reached at Brewster, BRUSSTAR40 at gmail.com.
Very good. And of course, we enjoy having Warren on a couple of times a month. Really, unquestionably, to me, one of the finer guests I have, but more importantly, one of the finer people as well. Well, we'll go back to the comments section. Okay, good evening, gents. We was a guest somewhere else tonight. Great show. Thank you very much. Ralph Williams. Hello, Ralph. Good. Looking forward to see you on Thursday night when Fire Up comes back on. Myself, Jeremy, George. I have a four-man crew out there. Well, Ralph, Jeremy, George, and myself. So looking forward to bringing that back on as well. All right, last but not least, let everybody know one more time that 108 Stitches Baseball Talk is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Participate in the chat room. That's one way to do it. Or send your topic ideas, South Florida Tribune at gmail.com, and we'll match you up with the right topic and show, and be more than happy to have you on. We always like to have new people on. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, give me a call at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter/X @TribuneSouth. Candy Eveling is behind the scenes, does an unbelievable job on the behind the scenes, getting the shows up as well as the website updated. I will be releasing a new book soon, so talking about old school media versus new school media. A lot of details are being worked out. I'll give you more information as I go along. So on behalf of George Eichhorn, on behalf of Warren Brewster and Jordan Long, my name is Scott Morgan, Rock Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. We will catch you the next time. Our next show will actually be next Monday night. Hopefully, we'll see how I feel as I prep for an operation. I'll see if I'm up to doing it, but we'll definitely have one out hopefully next week. Otherwise, definitely the week after. So stay tuned for the updates. Good night, everybody, and have yourself a great week.